Hi everyone, good morning. So yesterday we had seen Stanley Miller's experiment and the diagram, and I had asked you to practice the diagram, which is important for me exam point of view. Today we will see the next part of this chapter. Okay, the next part of this chapter is evolution of life forms, a theory. Okay, before this we will see the theory of special creation. This theory of special creation it is a theory to explain regarding the origin of life on earth. According to this theory, there are three assumptions which were made, and those three assumptions are, that is, all the living organisms, it may be the plants or animals, right, they are created as such, right. Then second one is the diversity of all the living organisms, it may be the plants or animals, it will remain the same earlier, today and tomorrow also. Then the third assumption of this theory of special creation is, that is, the origin of earth is about 4 billion years ago, or that is, earth has been originated 4,000 years ago. Okay, this is all about the special creation. Okay, then we'll see, keeping this in mind, we'll move to the next part of this chapter, that is evolution of life forms. Evolution of life forms. That is a theory. Okay, so I told you earlier about the theory of special creation. Keeping this in mind, that is, the ideas of this special theory of creation was highly criticized, because that is due to the COH of Darwin, and this was all during the 19th century. During the 19th century, what happened is, that is, Darwin, right? Darwin, a scientist, what did he do is, he went for a COH around the world in his ship known as HMS Beagle. Okay, he went for a COH, that is, through the Galapagos Archipelagos Islands, and during his journey, Darwin came across number of species of organisms, and he came to a conclusion as below. The first conclusion what he came across is, all the organisms, first conclusion which was derived by Darwin was, that is, all the living organisms, that is, they share similarities not only with themselves, but they are going to share similarities with organisms which lived millions of years ago. That is the first assumption. Then the second assumption is, there are extinctions which are taking place in the life forms in the coming years. Okay, there are extinctions which are occurring, right. Then the third one is, there is gradual evolution of life forms as well as. Then the fourth assumption is, there are variations also which are created in the living organisms. Then the fifth assumption is, each organism have to build an adaptation within themselves, and that adaptation will help them to survive in a particular environmental condition. If they survive in a particular environmental condition, then with these adaptations, they can be called as they can be called as by a concept called as natural selection. Sorry, not natural selection, it is the survival of fittest. Okay, then the fifth assumption, or the sixth assumption is, that is, according to Darwin, that is fitness refers to, when I say fitness, the fitness refers to physical fitness, not physical fitness. It is a reproductive fitness. An organism, if I say an organism is fit to stay in a particular environment, that means that organism is reproductively fit. It can produce the organism which can produce more number of offsprings is reproductively fit, right? And if it produces more number of offsprings, it can survive better than the others. Then the next assumption is the organism which is fit is selected by nature, and this is known as natural selection. And according to Darwin, natural selection is one of the criteria for evolution, or one of the basis for evolution. Okay, so these are all the assumptions or the conclusions which were drawn by Darwin through his COH. Then here Alfred Wallace, he was a naturalist during that time, and he also came through the same conclusion in the same period. Therefore, by seeing all this, we can say that all the life forms will share similarities among themselves, as well as they are going to share common ancestors. So, and these ancestors are present at different periods of time. Okay, right? And this is all about the evolution of life form in brief. Then coming to next one is evidences for evolution. Next one is evidences of evolution. First evidences is paleontological evidence. Then second one is morphological and anatomical evidence. Okay, so first we will see paleontological evidence. So paleontology is nothing but it is a study of fossils. So then paleontological evidence will tell you regarding the study of, or it will tell you regarding or give you the information regarding the fossils or the remains or the traces of the organisms that lived millions of years ago. Then when I say fossils, then what do you mean by fossils? Fossils are nothing but these are the remains of the hard parts of the life forms that existed millions of years ago. And these fossils then later on form the sediments. Okay, and when you study the fossils in different sedimentary layers, that will indicate you regarding the geographical time scale in which that living organisms lived. Okay, and it shows that life forms varied as the period went on, right? And this also shows that some living organisms are restricted to particular period of time, and hence new forms of life have arisen at different times in the history of Earth. Okay, this is regarding the paleontological evidence. In brief, we can say paleontological evidence is nothing but it is a study of fossils. Fossils are nothing but these are the remains of or the remains of hard parts of the living organisms which lived millions of years ago. Okay, and these fossils form the sediments, and when you study the sediments, different layers of fossils, or when you study the fossils in different sedimentary layers, you can come to know in which layer which organism lived, or in which era or which period the living organism, that particular living organism was existing, right? And then next one is about the morphological and anatomical evidence. So morphological and anatomical evidence is nothing but it is going to show, this evidences will show you regarding the similarities or the dissimilarities between the present organism and the organisms which lived millions of years back. Suppose if the organisms will show similarities between the present and the earlier organism, that means they were sharing common ancestors. Then a question may arise, how we will come to know whether they have got similar or dissimilar characters, or whether they have got similarity or dissimilarity. For that purpose, we need to study regarding homologous organs, analogous organs, vestigial organs, avatism, right? And we can have connecting links also. Okay, so these are all the things which will give us the information regarding the morphological and anatomical evidence. Okay, then first one among all these evidences we will see, that is all the sources like homologous, analogous organs, that is convergent evolution, divergent evolution, like among all this we will see one by one. The first one is homologous organs. Homologous organs, when I say, what do you mean by homologous organs? So this is an important question which may be asked for 1 marks or 2 marks question. That is, what do you mean by homologous organs? Which may be asked for either 1 mark or 2 marks question. And they will ask you for the examples also, which I shall tell later. Okay, or further. The first of all, we will see the definition of homologous organs. So homologous organs are nothing but these are organs whose structure and origin is same, whereas their functions will be different. Those are called as homologous organs. Okay, right. For example, or we can say, before telling the example, let me explain you, that is, these are the organs which will have same basic plan of organization. For example, it is the forelimb of, example for this is your forelimb of bat and forelimb of man or human, you can see. So these are the basic examples. One basic example is the forelimb of bat and the forelimb of human beings. Okay, these two, they have got, that is the forelimb of bat and the forelimb of man, have got similar structure and origin, but they have got different functions. Because here you can see the bat, it is going to use the forelimb for flying, whereas here the man, that is forelimb of human beings, it is used for doing like work, that is the forelimb is nothing but the hand which is used for different activities. Okay, right? So like this, or you can say another example is the forelimb of bat and the forelimb of cheetah. The cheetah will use its forelimbs for running. So like this, the forelimbs of these animals are similar in their structure and origin, but their functions is different. For example, you can see it may be either the bat, or it may be either the human, or it may be the forelimb of cheetah. Their basic plan of organization is similar because they are made up of, that is, their forelimb is made up of radius, ulna, then radius, ulna, humerus, radius, ulna, carpels, metacarpals and phalanges. Okay, so by seeing this, we can come to a conclusion that these all are having, that is, same structure and origin but different functions. This is all about the homologous organs. Okay, homologous organs. With this, you can again give the examples for homologous, that is the vertebrate hearts, then the vertebrate brains. That means the heart of various vertebrates. It can be the example for homologous organs. Then the brain of various vertebrates can also be the examples for homologous organs. But the most relevant example is the forelimb of bat and the forelimb of human beings or the man. It is the best example for homologous organ. Then this homologous organ leads to divergent evolution. Okay, it gives rise to this homologous organs give rise to divergent evolution. Okay, this is all about the homologous organ. Then next one is analogous organ. This analogous organ is contrast to your homologous organs, and this also can be asked for 1 mark or 2 marks question with example. So what do you mean by analogous organ? Analogous organs are the one whose origin and structure is different, but they will have similar functions. Those are nothing but the homologous organs. And these homologous organs will give rise to convergent evolution. Then coming to the examples of analogous organs. Example is the wings of birds and the wings of insects. Okay, right. That is wings of, one example is wings of bird and wings of insects. Here, why I am telling it under the analogous organs? Because that is wings of bird. It is a bird. It belongs to some other class, and the insect belongs to some other class or some other family, phylum. Okay. So here, the wings of bird will do the function of flying, whereas here also the wing of insect will also do the function of flying. So here, what happens is both may be different in their origin and structure, but they are similar in their function. That is, both of them fly. Using that organ, they are going to fly, so they come under this analogous organ. That is, wings of bird and wings of insect. Then next one is the eyes of octopus and the eye of the mammal. Those are also coming under the analogous organ. Then you can have the flippers of dolphin and the flippers of penguin. Flippers. You may not sleepers, it is flippers of dolphin and flippers of penguin. Those are also coming under analogous organ. When coming to the plant example, in analogous organ, that is the tuber of sweet potato and the tuber of potato. Those come under examples under plant for analogous organs. That is, analogous organ in plants, example is tuber of sweet potato, and tuber of potato. Why they are analogous? Because this sweet potato, it is a root modification, whereas your potato is stem modification. Both the origin is different, but where is the similarity then? Both, it may be sweet potato or the potato, both function is same, that is nothing but storage of food material. Your sweet potato will also store food, whereas your potato will also store food, and thus it is coming under analogous organ. So this is all about the analogous organ, and as already said, that is analogous organs will give rise to convergent evolution. Then what do you mean by convergent evolution then? Convergent evolution is nothing but that is anatomically different structures what they do is, in a different group of animals, they evolve towards a common function. That is nothing but the convergent evolution. Anatomically different structures in different organisms evolve towards the same function, and that will give rise to converging evolution. Okay, so this is all regarding the homologous and analogous, and you need to concentrate more on the definition of these two. Okay, and they may sometimes ask you the difference between homologous and analogous organs also with examples. Right, then next one we will see is, next is biochemical evidence. You have seen paleontological evidence, you have seen morphological and anatomical evidence, then we will see next one is biochemical evidence. Okay, when I say biochemical, you have to remember the biomolecules which you have studied in your first year. Biomolecules will include proteins, okay, proteins, then your carbohydrates, nucleic acid, those are all coming under the biomolecule. So hence the name biochemical evidences. So here, that is similarities in proteins and sugars in different group of organisms give us an idea that these organisms might have common ancestors, might have got common ancestors. Along with this, there are certain other biomolecules as well as different metabolic reactions which are same in different group of organisms. That also gives us an idea regarding all these living organisms might have got common ancestors. Right, then when I say, then another example what I can give is the chain of nucleotides in the nucleic acids, and many proteins are similar in apes as well as human beings, and thus you can get an idea or you can get a clue that they might have shared common ancestors. Okay, and you all know very well that is man have been originated from apes itself. It is because that is the sequence of nucleotides in the nucleic acids and as well as the proteins which are present in apes and human beings are almost similar. Okay, right, and that gives a clue that the man might have evolved, or man as well as the apes might have same common ancestors. This is all regarding the biochemical evidence. Then we will move on to next part of this chapter is, so we'll see the next part of this chapter, that is evidences of evolution by natural selection. So here when I say natural selection, it is one of the key word which was used in the Darwin theory. So natural selection, it is one of the process by which the environment, that particular organism is selected by the nature, and such organisms are called as naturally selected organisms because they are well adapted to that particular environment. And then here we will see one example, that is industrial melanism in peppered moth. We will see the natural selection by taking an example of natural selection in peppered moth. Okay, so this peppered moth in England, we will talk about the event which occurred in England. That is, in England, this peppered moth usually existed in two forms. That is, first form is the white winged moth, this peppered moth existed in two forms. That is, two types of moth were there. That is white-winged moth and dark-winged moth. White-winged moth is called as Biston butyllaria, and this is called as Biston carbonuria. Okay. So here, that is, the peppered moth in England existed in two forms. That is, first one is the white winged and next one is the dark winged moth. Then we will see what happened to these both the forms. Okay, how natural selection took place in England. Okay, so here earlier, before industrialization, when there was no much dust and smoke which was present in the environment during that time in the year 1850, before industrialization. That time you can see that there were more number of white-winged moth. That is before industrialization. That is before the development of industries. That is in 1850, there were more number of, who were there? White-winged moths were there as compared to dark-winged moths. Because that time the environment was free from pollutants. Okay, right? It was free from carbon, and then what happened is trees were covered with white colored patches of lichens because it was free of pollution. And in that background, when this white-winged peppered moth went and sat on the tree trunks which were white colored, what happened? They were easily escaped from the predators by the camouflage phenomenon. Whereas when this dark-winged pepper moths went and sat on the white, that is tree trunks covered by the lichens, they were easily identified by the predators, and the predators catched them and killed them. And as a result, the number of dark-winged pepper moths became less as compared to white-winged moths. This is the story before industrialization. Then after industrialization, that is after industries developed or industrialization, what happened is after industrialization in 1920, that time due to development of more industries, there was lots of pollutants, lots of carbon dioxide, dust, smoke was created in the environment, and that time what happened is there were more number of dark-winged moths as compared to white-winged moths, because during that time all the tree trunks which were earlier covered by white patches of lichens were now became black, and there was disappearance of all the lichens. And you all know very well, lichens do not grow in the area where there is pollution. So as a result, what happened? All the tree trunks became dark, and when these black-winged or dark-winged moths sat on these tree trunks, they were not easily identified by the predators, and they camouflaged. Okay, they were not easily viewed by the predators. Whereas at the same time, when the white-winged moth sat on the black background, where your moth sat on the white background, when the white-winged moth sat on the black background, they were easily identified by the predators, and that killed all the white-winged moths, and only your dark-winged moths were existing. So this is how there is natural selection occurred in case of peppered moth, that is before industrialization and after industrialization. So in a mixed population, hence that is the one mixed population was there, that is mixed population in the sense white-winged moth and dark-winged moth. In this mixed population, only the one which was better adapted to that particular environment was able to survive. The other which did not adapt itself perished. Okay, this is the best example we can give for evolution by natural selection. Okay, and then the next part of this chapter we will see in the next class. Thank you.